Yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? I appreciate y'all being here. First thing you need to do is quit looking at me and turn around and look at the people behind you. That is Bob, Catherine, Luke, and Casey. Casey works for the city. She's in green. But Bob, Catherine, and Luke are volunteers for the church. Tonight they're volunteers for the city. So we very much appreciate y'all doing this. This is not what y'all signed up for. I appreciate y'all doing that, and thank y'all for being here. Also, yeah, thanks. Awesome, thanks. Also, we have several aldermen here. Appreciate y'all being here. This is more people. I mean, I think I said if we have 20 people, I'll be surprised. But what's important, though, is not just you being here, but this is also being recorded. So tell people who have questions about trash and questions about the way the city operates with trash, feel free to tell them this is going to be online. This is something they can see. And we will welcome comments long after this meeting. And we'll also do a survey, and Casey will talk a little bit about that later on. Please hold your questions for right now. You're going to hear from three of us. You're going to hear from me, you're going to hear from our Public Works Director, and then you're going to hear from Jason DiStefano about recycling. So hold your questions till we get to the end of all three of those, and then we'll handle those. And we've set aside a lot of time for questions, so that should be fine. So let me tell you a little bit about what garbage means for the city of Hendersonville. There are two parts of garbage. One is somebody's got to pick up that garbage, and then somebody's got to accept that garbage. And for our purposes tonight, we're talking about residential garbage. That's all the city gets involved in, is just residential garbage. Businesses that have garbage, they hire somebody to come pick it up. That's not our responsibility. We're just talking about garbage that comes from homes. We're not even talking about garbage that comes from condominiums or garbage that comes from apartments. We're just talking about garbage that comes from single-family homes. So we have two contracts, one for somebody to pick it up, and one for somebody to accept it. So when we talk about picking it up, we're talking about the trucks, we're talking about accepting it, we're talking about companies that have landfills. And as we just mentioned, is that those two parts of it, some cities don't do either. You're just on your own to find somebody to come pick up your garbage and find somebody to take your garbage. Typically in that situation, the company who picks up your garbage is going to take care of it. They're just going to send you one bill. City of Hendersonville, we get two bills. We get one from the company who picks it up, and that happens to be Waste Pro. We get one from the company who accepts it. Waste Pro takes it to Allied Republic, and they accept it, and they take care of it from that. So there's two parts of that. The biggest part I really want to mention about the company that takes it from us. These are the big companies that own landfills. That's what they do. They take our garbage, usually at a centralized location, and then we dump it there. Then they take it from there to a landfill. The difficulty about that is that there's less landfill space in Middle Tennessee every day, and there are no more new landfills. That's really why we're here, is our options are declining, and the costs are going to go up pretty much as that. Like I said, some cities don't do either. They don't. So by the way, there are no Middle Tennessee cities with landfills. There are a couple counties that have some for just the county. There are no Middle Tennessee cities with landfills. So all those cities, if they're in the garbage business, they have to hire out. We do have some cities that do similar to what we do, is that they hire somebody to pick up their garbage. There are some cities that have staff to take their garbage. Gallatin's a great example. They have essentially a garbage division that picks up their garbage. What we do is we're a trash broker. We take our 19,700 homes, and every 5 years we ask a company to come pick up those 19,700 homes. We expect that we're going to get a better price than if you would just call one of those businesses, or your subdivision calls one of those businesses. So like I said, some cities do that. They leave the residents on their own, and subdivisions might take care of it. You've got some places where you have one neighbor has one company, another neighbor has another company. Think of it as sort of like cable television. There are some cities that handle it that way. They stay out of the garbage business, and the individual homeowners have to take care of it. What we do is every 5 years we go out for bids, and we ask companies, multiple companies, what are you going to charge us per month, per house for the next 5 years? We do currently on our contract for 5 years have the option of extending that contract without going back out for bids, and you're going to hear a little bit about that. What we also used to do was we would pass that fee on directly to you. Some of you might remember this. You used to get your tax bill, and there was the property tax, and then there was the garbage assessment. And it was two separate things. Now we had a total at the bottom of it. There was your property tax, and there was the garbage fee. We used to have that, and it was separate. And when we had that, the last time we had that, it was $293 per house per year. The way we came up with that $293 was it very much reflected of the bids that Waste Pro gave us, and we just passed that through. We weren't making any money on that. We just passed that on to you. So if you had a $100,000 house back then, you paid $189 in property tax and $293 for your garbage fee. You paid a total of $482. If you had a $300,000 house, you paid $568 in property tax and $293 for your trash fee. The trash fee was the same no matter how big a house you had. If you had a $600,000 house, you paid $1,137 in property tax and then $293 in your garbage fee. Like I said, the trash fee was the same no matter how big the house was. It was the taxes that went up. So 5 years ago, we were in a situation where Republic was picking up our trash. They had the contract to pick up our trash, but they also had the contract for dumping our trash, for disposing of our trash. All the houses in Hendersonville, twice a week, Republic came and picked up your trash at your back door if you want to leave your trash there. Nobody else in Middle Tennessee had service like that. It was referred to as Cadillac service. It was very, very high-end service and very expensive service. Most cities were doing once a week, and nobody was doing backdoor pickup. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the problems with backdoor pickup in a little bit. What was happening in 2019, though, was as Republic was coming to the end of their contract, they were dealing with some labor problems, and they had a lot of missed houses toward the end of their contract in 2019. When we went out for bids, Republic bid on that. I think we had 7 bids on that. Republic bid on that. We had multiple companies bid on that. We looked at all sorts of options back in 2019. Like I said, we had Cadillac service, and there were a lot of people that didn't want people walking through their backyard to pick up the trash. There were a lot of people that didn't need twice a week. There was a lot of people that wanted us to find something that was less expensive. So we went with Waste Pro, and toward the end of the contract with Republic, as that contract was switching over from Republic to Waste Pro, we found out the transitions are very, very difficult. That was a very difficult month in June and July of 2019 as the transitions were happening. Republic had lots of misses the last month that they were picking up our trash. In fact, we asked Waste Pro to come in early and help them out. But still, we found out that the transitions were very, very difficult. What we did as part of that contract, we converted to Waste Pro, and a lot of people remember this because I get emails about this, is we went from once a week to twice a week. But the impact of that was that the trash fee came down significantly in the overall amount of money you were sending to the city. We were able to pave a lot more roads. And I think we have a great graph right here. So you see 2019, that we were sort of sporadic on what we were doing paving roads. So when we cut trash service down to once a week, we were able to pave a lot more roads without increasing what you paid to the city. And that's the reason we did that, because I was hearing from more people who were concerned about roads than wanted twice a week trash service. So that's where that money went. It wasn't some pet project of anybody's. It wasn't something that people didn't want. What we were able to do with that money is we were able to repave more roads. So now what we're going to do is I want to turn this over to Sarah Locke. She's our Public Works Director, and she's going to give you a lot more information about trash than I can. And by the way, Sarah Locke is the person that I describe as our rock star Public Works Director. She has, it seems constantly when I have an email or have a question, about 50% of them, 50% of the information I need, if all the department heads, she has that information. So, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're going to go through a couple of different slides here. We're going to talk about the current contract and service levels. We're going to discuss expected cost increase and process for rebidding, and we'll also discuss options to consider as we rebid this contract. So as the Mayor discussed, we have a disposal contract that is currently with Republic. That contract went out to bid again in July of 2022. It came in at a rate of $64 per ton. That was approximately 33% increase from what we were paying previously. This contract does have an annual increase in accordance with the CPI. So this year we saw an 8.71% increase on that rate. So now we are at $69.57 per ton. Our current contract for collection is with Waste Pro that began in July of 2019. The rate in 2019 when we accepted this, when we signed a contract, was $11.71 per home. The prior rate for Republic for the twice a week collection was $20.63 per home. So we saved 44%, and we applied that toward paving, as the mayor discussed. There was approximately $2 million savings there by switching to the once a week. They do also have an annual increase on their contract of 2.5%. Our current rate with them is $12.91 per home per month. And this contract, as you know, is once a week pickup. It's Monday through Friday. It includes curbside, backdoor, and also bulk collection. Excluded items are vegetation, hazardous materials, construction debris, and commercial waste. We do have, for service misses, we have a 24-hour response window. So we do not count that as a findable miss unless it's been over 24 hours since it was reported. And then the enforcement on the contract currently is through fees based on a threshold of misses per month. In discussions with Waste Pro, we tried to look at different options for potential contract extension because, as the mayor discussed, transitions are challenging. So what we are looking at for our current service level for once a week backdoor collection, we are looking at an expected 100% increase to approximately $26 plus per home per month. It's an estimate. Annual city increase would be from $3 million to approximately $6 million. Projections based on the 2019 bid statistics, twice a week backdoor would probably be an additional 44% increase. Once a week curbside would be approximately 47% increase from our current rate. So these are just some things that we're looking at as we're evaluating our options and going out to bid. We have put together a timeline for what the bid process would look like. This is the early stages of that. So we are looking at having meetings in August. This will also include a BOMA workshop. We are looking to put the contract out to bid in September, and we would hope to have a contract signed by the beginning of 2024. And that would give us approximately 6 months to transition, as opposed to 2019, where I think there was maybe a month or two. So this hopefully would give us more time to hammer out some of the details, smooth some of the edges, make a transition, if it is a transition, less painful. As we're looking at bid documents, some of the options to consider are multiple service levels as the base service that the city provides. So some of those options would be what we have now: once a week backdoor, twice a week backdoor, once a week curbside, twice a week curbside, and then we would evaluate for a base service level. We are also looking at a la carte options. So if the city's budget cannot absorb a certain base service level that's desirable, we would have a trash company provide an a la carte option directly to residents who may want to pay more for a higher level of service individually. We are looking at Monday through Thursday collection days. That would hopefully give us a buffer for Friday when we have inclement weather, give us additional time to catch up through the week so we don't go so long without collection. We are looking at options to possibly limit bulk volume and/or frequency. Automatic side load is another efficiency measure that may help the rates come in a little lower. Standardized cans would be part of that. We will also be considering options for recycling and vegetation collection. And that concludes my portion.
Sarah will be back in more time for questions in a few minutes. But now I want to Jason is with Green Villages. It is the only recycling company that we have in Hendersonville. There are other recycling companies that do business in Hendersonville, but Jason owns this company, and Jason is the guy I turn to when it comes to recycling. Constantly, we have had questions about recycling. He can answer these better than I can by far, because he's in that business. So Jason, and like I said, so after he speaks, we'll have time for questions. So Jason, go ahead, please. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Clary. I appreciate it. So I'm here to talk a little bit about recycling. I'm not here to convince anybody to recycle. That's really a personal choice. But I did want to shed some light on some things that we have found in the 15 years that we've been in the business in Hendersonville. My name is Jason DiStefano, and I started Green Village Recycling really in 2008. We bought our first truck servicing the community in 2010. Looking back on it, probably wasn't the best time to start a new business. 2008 was not the best economic time to actually try to start a for-profit company. But, recycling is a big question nationwide, and it's a pretty contentious topic. But let me share with you what we've tried to do over the past 15 years. First of all, we provide curbside single-stream recycling. What that means is that products are combined together, okay? That's the first thing. People don't have to sort materials. Sorting materials is difficult to actually get the public and get people to want to recycle. So we accept material commingled. So that's paper, plastic, cardboard, aluminum cans, metal cans. And some people will say, well, I lived in a city and they used to take glass. And at one point, glass was part of the commingled process. However, glass has become a very big challenge because glass is many, many different colors. And the only way to recycle that glass is to use optical sorting. And you have to sort the green from the clear, from the brown. And glass doesn't come in whole bottles, it's pieces. So years ago, we actually had to stop taking glass. And several people said, well, why don't you open up a drop-off facility and we'll bring you our glass. Now, I will tell you that we did open up a drop-off facility for about 3 years. And I spent probably close to $250,000 of my own money to provide a recycling drop-off facility for the city of Hendersonville, with the hope that at some point in time, Hendersonville would find the funds to help support that drop-off facility. And after 3 years of operating the drop-off, we basically got to a point where we said, we just can't continue to do that. The money's not there, the state isn't getting behind and putting the funds. So we unfortunately had to close the drop-off and go with just curbside single-stream recycling. My thought when we started the business in 2008 through 2010 was that somehow or another we would be pretty profitable within a year or two. It actually took us 10 years before we ever saw the first profit. Most companies go out of business in the first year or two. So I was very committed to providing recycling for the city of Hendersonville and Sumner County, to the point where my partners and my family asked me if I was crazy and lost my mind. But I figured, it's worth it, because in order to make change, in order to have a difference, in order to try and protect the beautiful environment that we have from consistently putting material in landfill, we would continue to operate a recycling facility. In that time, we've been involved in events, shoreline cleanups, we've done business recycling, we've worked with charities, we've had education camps for kids, had a sustainability center. So we've tried to do everything we could as a small hometown business to provide recycling for Sumner County and Hendersonville. And in that time, we've recycled around 10 million pounds of material that we've kept out of landfill in Tennessee. I don't know if many of you have actually gone down to Murfreesboro and seen the Stones River, or the landfill that's down in Murfreesboro. But if you ever get a chance to drive down into Murfreesboro and see how big that facility is now, it is a huge, huge mound. And you might think when you drive there that it's a natural mound, that it's a natural hill. It is an absolutely massive, massive landfill. I have had many conversations with the Department of Environment and Conservation, and they say, we're not offering any more landfill permits in the state of Tennessee, okay? That's it. There are no more landfills that are going to be allowed in the state of Tennessee. So what is the next question? Well, what happens when it gets full? The answer is Alabama and Kentucky and Mississippi. They'll get our garbage. So I thought, well, all the more reason for recycling. Now, the challenge isn't just that people don't want to recycle, because we have thousands of households in 2 counties now, Robertson County and Sumner, that do pay us every month around $29 a month to pick up recycling in a 96-gallon container, curbside. The challenge is that the costs of recycling have gone up over the past 10 to 15 years. So for example, I don't know, you look at fuel prices. We were paying about $1.50 a gallon when we started the company, about $1.25 a gallon. That's for diesel. And now diesel's $4 a gallon. At one time, it was almost $6 a gallon. So this is the same problem that the waste company's having, okay? Labor. My labor costs were around $10 to $12 per hour per employee. Now my labor costs are more like $25 an hour per employee. So my costs have gone up. Truck prices, I could buy a brand new truck for about $110,000. Now they're $260,000. Everything has gone up. So to do recycling is a very, very expensive undertaking. But we're trying to do the right thing by offering the service as a private company. There was a time when we provided a pilot program for the City of Hendersonville. In the pilot program, we had several hundred homes that were involved in the pilot program. We offered the curbside recycling with the support of the city to show that people wanted it. But at the end of the pilot program, the money just wasn't there for the city to engage and to actually have a full citywide recycling program. Now, a couple of changes that have really affected recycling. In 2010, China was accepting most of the recycled materials from the United States. Believe it or not, China was taking our recycling. And the reason was, most of the products that we were buying in the United States, or many of them, were coming on shipping containers to the West Coast on those shipping containers. They were unloaded, and then those containers sat empty, okay? Well, China needed those containers back. So instead of putting them on a boat and shipping them back empty, there was an effort to load those up with recycled material that the Chinese market could recycle. In 2018, China ended that policy on what they called the National Sword Operation. They said, we are no longer taking your recycling. Why? So I did some investigating. Why would China stop taking this awesome recycling material? Turns out 50% of it was actually contaminated with garbage, food, and items that they could not recycle. So they looked at it and they said, we can't take your recycling anymore. It's 50% garbage coming across the ocean, and they stopped taking it. I get the question all the time, how much of this actually gets recycled? I'll bet you guys just dump in the landfill. Let me tell you, we charge a fee so that we can provide a 100% guarantee that we recycle all the material through a facility that provides us with a guarantee it's all recycled. There are cameras, and the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation holds them accountable. They will fine them and shut them down if they dump that material in the landfill. Now, can I tell you that 100% of what goes on our truck is recycled? I can tell you it does not, and here's why. There are some items that are contaminated. There are items that have food. If you put pizza in the pizza box and there's half of a pizza and you throw it in the recycling container, guess what happens? It's contaminated. We can't recycle pizza. It just doesn't work. There's a lot of plastics that are not recyclable. Okay, the 2 most common plastics we can recycle in the industry are PET and HDPE. Okay, so basically a water bottle, anything that is consumable is recyclable. All right, this plastic bag, even though it has a little sign on here that says recycle it, it's not very easy to recycle individually. Okay, you want to take these bags back to the store. You want to bring these bags in. At the store, they'll have in the front an area where you can actually put the bag in. It's all the same if it goes back to the store. But if it's mixed with the water bottle and it's mixed with the newspaper, it gets caught up in all the conveyor belts. And the company that recycles for us says, we can't take that. I want to share something with you. Who watches the History Channel? Anybody watch the History Channel? Okay. So, what do you think was the archaeologists' most, something that archaeologists would find from prior civilizations most often when they were looking at what other civilizations would have used and thrown out. Pottery shards, right? Bones, pottery shards, maybe a little bit of material that lasted a few thousand years. 500 years from now, it's highly likely that plastic will be what is mined out of these landfills. We don't know how long plastic exists. It hasn't been around long enough to understand. Does it last 100 years or 500 years? 1,000 years or 10,000 years? We don't know. Private businesses like Green Village Recycling and others can provide cities with the recycling option for the people that want to engage in recycling. I would love nothing more than to be able to earn a contract with the City of Hendersonville or Gallatin or Springfield or anywhere else that we do citywide recycling. But I can tell you for certain that because of the challenges that exist in the recycling marketplace today, it's not affordable from the standpoint of saving money. It costs the same. Our trucks cost the same as a garbage truck. Our fuel costs the same as a garbage truck's fuel. Our labor costs the same. And the tipping fee, what Mayor Clary had alluded to, the tipping fee is when you go to a facility and you bring the material and you drop it off, you're paying $69 a ton to put it into a hole. We pay $75 a ton to process it. It is no longer cheaper to recycle. In 1998, California had a program that a lot of us, heard about where it was like, oh wow, they're paying for the recycling materials. That was 1998. This is 2023. It's 25 years later. There's no money to be earned from the recycling process. So in order for Hendersonville to have a successful recycling program, it is my belief and my feeling that the state of Tennessee needs to get behind the recycling initiative as a state and help fund processing facilities. We have fewer processing facilities today than we had 15 years ago, okay? That means that my options to bring the material to guarantee that our customers get recycling are limited. So the state has to get behind and has to promote recycling much more and find the money. The top problems for recycling: lack of education about recycling practices, okay? It's not lack of education or desire, it's just what is recyclable. So a lot of education has to occur. Inadequate funding, risk of contamination, and the fact that China has a ban on recycling. Approximately 90% of the materials that go into the recycling stream gets recycled, okay? There are just some items we cannot recycle. It's impossible to do it because it's contaminated. Finally, I had a quick question. What state do you think is the best at recycling in the United States? Right? California. That's wrong. I'm sorry. Anybody else? Best? Michigan? Good guess. I know, I thought immediately California, New York, Florida. It's actually Maine. Of all the places, it's Maine. Maine has 74% of their waste gets recycled, okay? Because it's an agricultural state, obviously. I mean, it's timber and it's fishing, but it's fairly high density in the areas where people live, and they have a state mandate for recycling. Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, California, Oregon, Florida. Guess who's 48th in the nation? Tennessee. The only worst states are Mississippi and Alaska, okay? And Alaska, because the population density is very low and the land mass is very high, and it's a lot harder to move materials out of that state. So just in summary, waste issues have been a problem for thousands of years. This is not anything that's new. I will say, in closing, it is always a little more expensive to do the right thing, and on my way here I stopped off to pick two things up. It's always more expensive to do the right thing. These Oreos, $2.50 at Racetrack, and they're good. They're fantastically delicious, and they're somewhat addictive. This cup of fruit was almost $4, okay? $4, $2.50, $4, $2.50. So if I want to eat properly, I'm going to pay more. and it's a lot like recycling. To do the right thing doesn't necessarily mean it's cheaper. It just means that it's the right thing with a higher cost. I'll take questions at any time. Thank you.
So thank you, Jason. So here's the reason that I put this together with Casey and Jason and Sarah that we thought that this is worthwhile. Our trash is going to change. I tell this story many, many times. In 2017, I was at a meeting with mayors throughout Middle Tennessee, and they showed a slide. It was the Greater Nashville Regional Council, and they showed a slide where the active landfills were in Middle Tennessee and what the life of those landfills are. And the person next to me, our trash ended up at a landfill that had 11 years of life left in it. We were sort of happy. We were sort of proud of ourselves. We picked the right company. We picked the company that we have the most life left. The person over here, they had picked the company that had a landfill and only had 3 years left. And then he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "You know where we're coming in 3 years." We didn't have 11 years. That 11 years is going to go to 7 to 5 to 4 very, very quickly. And more often when I sit down with other mayors and more often in just my work, I have to talk about trash. So we wanted to educate folks, and we also want to take your input because we need to know what's important. What's important to you as far as how your trash is picked up? What's important to you as far as how your trash is disposed of? So we're going to have the opportunity for questions. We're also going to have an opportunity for surveys. I'd like Sarah and Jason to stick around with us. And so what questions do you want to talk? Go ahead. You want to say something, Casey? Okay.
Sure. So we'll pass the mic around. So if you want to share your thoughts tonight, you can. So just raise your hand and we'll come around. If you don't want to share your thoughts verbally, we do have comment cards. You can fill them out here and drop them off and we'll take them. And then later this week, the city is going to be releasing a survey that we're going to send out. So please look for that. It will be posted on our website. It will be shared on our social media accounts. Please help us get the word out about this. We're doing a lot of work to get information out through those 3 avenues, and it just helps getting the word so people know to look for it there. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends that you know that live in the city to look for that and fill it out because we need your feedback. We need to know what you think.
So just like I'm spending more time on trash, y'all are going to have to get educated about trash too. I hate that for you. But we're going to have some changes in the next year, and people are going to have to help us make those decisions. So what questions do y'all have? Yeah, go ahead, Rob. Oh, sorry. It's going to be for you, probably.
Maybe I missed something,
Okay.
but why is the state not going to give out any more permits for more new landfills?
I don't know.
Wow.
Honestly, I have no idea why they're not. It's just
We need to vote those people out of office and put
Yeah.
new people in.
So we've run into that some, and we're not real sure either, because there are landfills that are very safe, and there are many that operate around here that that provide a wonderful option. But it is very difficult to get those permitted, and these are big national companies that do this all the time, and they're having a hard time.
Another question is, for those who don't know, I'm only lived here for 3 years. Came from California, but one time I had to go over to Gallatin to get rid of some trash. What was that place?
I'll do that one. So, long explanation. 1979, 1980, the state created the Sumner County Resource Authority. The idea was that all the trash that was generated in Sumner County had to go to this one site in Gallatin, and Gallatin created energy from that. They burned it at such a high temperature, they created energy from it, and they had a couple industrial sites nearby there. And that sort of worked, but they never really fully populated the industrial sites around there. So a lot of what was brought in to create energy ended up just going to a landfill. That stopped about... You know what? That stopped, I think, around 2002, maybe. Yeah. And that facility became a transfer station. You can dump your trash, and then it goes from there to a landfill. Is what happens. That's what all is right now.
Why would you ever want to take trash to a transfer station to dump it, and then it gets put on another truck to go to a landfill? Why not just go from the truck to the landfill?
In some cases, some cities do that. They go straight to the landfill. But in this situation, For Gallatin, it's a good central location because from there they can go to the landfill close to Murfreesboro or landfill out in Smith County. With the situation with where Hendersonville's residential garbage goes, with Allied, it's really up to them where they take it from there. Our contract with them is that we take it to Nashville, which is really the closest spot that we have other than Gallatin, but their prices are better. And so that's why we take it there.
One last question. I understand China's not taking recycles anymore. I thought that somewhere else, India or Indonesia, someplace else was taking recycles.
Yeah, the majority of recycling from the United States actually goes to Canada and then Mexico, and also in the US. So the shorter the distance you can travel with this material to get processed, the better it is. So if it has to go to Asia, which some materials from some countries will go to Asia, and I'm not saying that none of it from the US goes there, but a long boat ride is a lot more expensive than going up to Canada or to Mexico for processing. And part of the answer to your question before about the landfills, Tennessee's growing, and nobody, no city, no county wants a landfill. I mentioned to Mr. Peterson in the back, I said, would Hendersonville want to entertain a landfill? And the answer is no. Would Gallatin? No. Would Portland? No. So where's the justification for where to put a landfill? That's the challenge.
I'm Eddie Ligon. I own Eddie's Exterminating. I service about 250 customers a month. And just when we changed trash pickup and went from the once a week or twice a week to the once a week, you've got HOAs where people with kids have like baby diapers, insane. I mean, they might have 2 or 3 kids in diapers, and now they're picking up every 7 days instead of every couple days. Just those people alone, I mean, just the flies and the health hazard that this has created is bad. I mean, there's not a week that goes by, especially in the summertime, it's horrible. And HOAs have not stepped up and said, hey, you can move your trash cans outside, go ahead. No, they're still keeping their trash cans inside. And I'm not gonna gripe about Waste Pros. We all know how horrible they are. I think I've spoke with her several times. I'm one of the ones where they jumped on my trash can and broke it. I like to shot one guy walking through my backyard. I'm one it's my yard. Don't come through it.
Okay.
Don't drag your trash can through my front yard. Kick my sprinkler system. I mean, just all kinds of mess. But that's what I would think. I would think twice a week curbside would be a whole lot better. I mean, just straight out the back, twice a week curbside. Take your trash to the road. Everybody does it anyway. Do you not run around and see cans on the street? I mean, I drive around, I go 25,000 miles a year in this city. There's not a day I don't go by where everybody's taking their trash cans to the road. I don't understand why we're even paying for it.
So Eddie, that's awesome. So a couple things that you brought up. And I'm going to hand this over to Sarah in just a second here. So a lot of people forget the reason that we went with Waste Pro is because Republic was not doing a good job in 2019. They were our actually lowest bidder to continue service. And the Board of Mayor and Aldermen decided lowest bidder, they're the ones who have it right now, we don't want to continue with them. That's how bad it was. What was that?
Aren't they the ones where you take it now?
Yeah, they're the ones that take it, but it's 2 separate contracts. Totally two separate contracts.
But it would be cheaper for them to pick it up and take it to their own facility than to pay somebody else to dump it.
That totally makes sense, but nope, 2 separate contracts. So yeah, we were surprised at that too. So, but you hit on something else that's really good, is that some people need to have their trash picked up more than once a week. I doubt that we're going to go back. I'm speaking for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen here. I doubt there's an appetite among the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to go back to twice a week service for everybody. I really doubt that. However, Sarah mentioned a little bit about a la carte service. You want to take that? Okay.
Yeah, so that's really the reason why we're looking at a la carte options. For people that want to pay a little extra and have that twice a week service, that could be an option for them to pay individually to the trash company. Same for backdoor collection. But we're evaluating all options. Really, we'll be accepting bids for all options so that the board can evaluate those and make a decision on what's best for the city and what fits in the budget.
Sarah, and Mayor Jason, thank you all for putting this town hall together. Sarah, you mentioned something earlier about the truck with an automatic arm. Would the city furnish those cans, or does the vendor?
So we would look to get a bid price for standardized cans for probably like a rental fee from the trash company, but we'd be evaluating those options. But most likely the city, if we went to that, most likely the city would furnish cans.
Might be a more affordable option if we do that. But again, thank you.
My name is James Howes. I moved here end of September of last year. Had a problem with trash pickup. I come from Portland, which we had a 96-gallon can that we had to buy. A can had to be pushed to the street every week. Not a problem if you know what's going on. I get here, no information at all about it. They refused to pick my can up because I had a 96-gallon can. So after a couple of weeks of arguing and complaining, I found out why they're not picking my can up, so I go buy 2 more cans. And now they either don't pick them up, they pick up only 1 can and not the other one, or they pull them out in the middle of my driveway, dump them, and leave them in the middle of my driveway, or pull them to the street from my house and leave it in the middle of my driveway. So when I come home, I live on Maple Drive. Maple Drive is a cut-through road because of the school zones. Try stopping your vehicle on Maple Drive to get out, move a can just so you can get in your own driveway, and then get back in your vehicle without you getting hit or your vehicle getting hit. Yeah. We do have backdoor service. It's in the contracts. Our tax dollars are paying for it. Go look at my house, 129 Maple Drive. You tell me where can I put my can at the end of the street. I got a drop off in my front yard. There's nowhere to put a can and have it set there. If the city wants to come around and build a little pad for everybody to put their cans out there by the street, go for it. I'll push the cans up there every week. But if I put it up there, they're going to fall over in my ditch. Is the trash people going to pick it up? No, they're not. And I've had arguments with them, 3 or 4 emails for them to call me. The lady, Kimberly, has sent several emails, including me in, that refused to call me back. They missed my cans this Monday. They missed 1 can the previous week, and when I told them, call them again and again and again, they said they'd be out there to pick it up yesterday. Guess what? They never came in yesterday. Okay. And I'm not the only one on Maple that got cans not picked up for the backdoor service, because everybody wants to put their can to the street. Everybody's got their own opinion, but if we're paying for backdoor service, we ought to get backdoor service.
Okay. So you hit on something that's very important, is if we ever went to curbside service only, we have a lot of people in that exact situation. Is they don't have anywhere next to their driveway to put their can. And so that's really, really difficult. Your situation, as far as being missed, we need to know about this. And let me get your address before we leave here.
I've been to the city and I've complained.
Okay.
More than once.
Okay.
I got pictures where I got in an argument with one guy. Uh-huh. He swore up and down I was being racial because he was black. And I wasn't the one doing the problem. He's pulling my cans out in the middle of the driveway from the house, dumping them, and leaving them in the middle of the driveway, so I got to get out and push them back to the house. Okay. He's tried to start an actual fist fight with me in the driveway, and that was January 16th. I got pictures where he left the cans. The driver of the truck come down and solved it. He calmed the guy down and me down. And the route supervisor guaranteed me on January 16th I'd never ever have another problem. Guess what? 2 or 3 months later, here we go. Same crap all over again. Okay. And I'm not ready to go. I don't want to go postal, but I'm pretty god darn close.
So let me talk with you afterward, okay? Because I want to find out more about this. We've got to solve that. So. Yeah.
What do you want me to do now?
Just stick around afterward. Let's talk.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate that. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Franks. Anyway, I've lived places that had the trucks with the arms. Works really well. One person in the truck, nobody gets out of the truck, so it just works great. I don't have any issues with that. The standard cans, I mean, where I lived, we didn't have to buy them, but you always buy them. So I mean, taxes. But they last a long time. I've never had one ruined by one of those arms, smashed, wrecked.
Good.
Because you do have to buy the second one, I believe, in most places.
Yes.
But the other thing is, I've lived in enough high tax places that I am so against state-sponsored and city-sponsored mandatory recycling. It was so great moving here that they didn't have it, because taxes just keep going up and up and up, and there's no breakout ever to what you're paying for it. They always lose money on it, so you're always paying more and more and more. A lot of the stuff does not go to the landfill because it's always commingled, and I see it just as a loser for me. And they've always passed laws. Once they get that in, then it always becomes an excuse to make things illegal. Like where we came from in Wisconsin this time, it's illegal to throw away a cardboard box. You have to recycle it. You cannot throw it away. And there's a bunch of other stuff they put that in like that. There's some light bulbs that if I wanted to recycle it, I couldn't throw it away. I had to go to the, used to be incinerator, which, a lot of the trash, if they still had incinerators, a relatively clean one would really help with the landfill problem. But they turned old incinerators into drop-off centers. Sometimes I've had to sign my name and fill out a form for the drop-off center to recycle one light bulb.
So I think we have a question up here.
So anyway, I'm just saying that I'm against it. And the trash people we have now seem to have been doing all right, except I did see them once. The driver and the pickup person were screaming at each other, kind of right in front of my house. It's an argument that went on probably 3-4 minutes, and I thought that was really uncool. So
Make sure you fill out a comment. Make sure you do that, please. And then I think we had a question up here.
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, quick question on the vegetation. So is that separate from the, the sticks and twigs that get picked up by the city and the lawn bags that get picked up by the city? I assume that has nothing to do with Waste Pro, but I know you mentioned vegetation, so I was curious.
Yeah, so currently there is no vegetation included in the Waste Pro contract. It used to be, I believe, part of the Republic contract. So we now pick up leaf bags separately, and then of course have the limb route. So we would consider maybe looking at an option to have vegetation collected as well.
Sorry, when you speak without the mic, it doesn't go on the recording, and we want to make sure everybody hears everything when they hear it back. So let's let you go.
Yeah, thanks very much for putting this on. It's a great opportunity for us to learn what is actually happening. And I came from a city where I was actually on the city council. We had our own landfill, and then we had to close the landfill. And I can tell you that working with the EPA, it never goes away. It's something that you're constantly tagged with. But you gave us a lot of information really, really quick. And I think from the standpoint of communicating to the entire community, to give us an opportunity to really understand where we're at and what our options might be, is that I just captured something that said that if you went to once a week curbside, we're looking at roughly a 47% increase from what we're paying now. I don't know if I captured that correctly or not.
That's an estimate. That's correct. That's an estimate just based on the variation in rates that we saw in 2019.
Okay.
When I went through and did an analysis of those, it looks like that might be what we would look at.
Well, I think what might be helpful, at least from my standpoint, would be to have you communicate that says, okay, you're paying today, whatever it is, $12.50 per home. If we went to one curbside pickup a week, and on top of that, whatever the other amenities are that you're planning on including, identify what those are and let us know what that is, and then give us an opportunity to see what's happening. What I heard originally was, hey, look, everything's going up at least 35%, and there's another 35% on top of that that's going to happen here. And I'm going, wait a minute. We haven't got enough information to even understand where we're going. If you're just landing on 35%, maybe we need more information. And that's what I would ask you for. Give us a little bit more.
Sure.
Be a little bit more clear in terms of what our options are.
Yeah.
Because honestly, back door, front door, curbside, whatever, we need to get to a uniform process that we all can use, and that the people that are working the process will be able to deliver positive results. I can tell you that the garbage people that we have in our area, at least from my perspective, they're pretty darn good. The people have been very pleasant to work with. Yes, we get our garbage can out on the corner of our driveway every day that it comes to be picked up. They take it to their truck, they dump it, and they put it right back where I put it. And I can't really ask for them to do much more than that. So,
Yeah.
where do I live? I live in Winston Hills.
I just want
In
to
Henderson.
thank you for your feedback. I just want to say that this is all just in preparation to put the contract out to bid. Once we have the actual bids in and we have those prices and the true increases and all of those things, we will have BOMA meetings that will, of course, be public, and where all of that will be openly discussed. So everyone will be educated on.
My main concern is, let's stop frightening people. Let's deal with facts. Let's explain what the options are.
Sure.
And therefore, we can be part of the solution rather than
Sure.
part of the problem.
Fair enough. Thank you.
What's your question?
Okay, well, we have had no problem with the previous Republic. They were great. They came twice a week. We have had no problem with the new company that comes once a week. But Republic did take the yard waste, and they took everything. Anything that we needed. I mean, you could practically put your sofa out there and they would take it. We had zero problems with them, and I can't believe you said that they were actually less expensive.
Yeah.
But what we do expect, I think, is when you tell us that there is a system for the vegetation, and there is none.
There is.
Well, no, there is not.
Tell us to take it to that forest retreat place.
Well,
because
no,
locked the gate.
no, they tell you to put it out by your back door.
Not back door.
Or,
Well, for us it is Ashcrest.
well, out by the garage, where that's it. They don't come by the front door in Ashcrest.
It's the alley.
It's the alley. Everything is picked up in the alley. And we've had several bags that have laid out there for a month, and then they rot, and then they bust open, and then you got to pick it all up and take it to the place they say you can carry it there yourself. And the gate is open. They said the gate is open, always open, and it is never
So a couple
open.
things real quick.
Yeah.
We don't require you to take it anywhere. Sometimes we're a little bit slower when we when we have storms. We don't require you to take it somewhere. We don't do that, okay? And we get there. It's just when we have storms, it takes a little bit longer. There's a difference between limbs and there's a difference between bagged waste. There's a difference there.
Not in Ashcrest, there's not. They don't know we exist.
Well, no, we've called in, and in the office they tell you you can take it there,
You
and
can.
we don't even mind taking it there.
Uh-huh.
They told us the gate is always
It's
open.
not always open. I don't know who told you that. It's
Well, you're right about that.
yeah.
They
yeah.
told us it was always open.
But something you hit on that you had a very good point about something that Republic used to take everything.
Yeah.
We didn't know that. Okay, no kidding. I mean, it's sort of embarrassing. We didn't know that. What happened when Waste Pro came in is people continued to put in their trash what Republic had taken, because we all were just, creatures of habit, and we thought that Republic took it, so Waste Pro will take it. The reason Waste Pro did that, they had the contract for the disposal based on weight. The more stuff they took, the more money they made from us. We did not know that. So you're like us. We found that out sort of after the fact, that Republic was taking some things that they weren't contracted to take, and they made more money off it because of that. And that really isn't Waste Pro's fault. It's just one of those things that we learned after the fact, and it's terrible that happened that way. Oh, go ahead.
Just as far as the forest retreat drop-off, after the tornado, there was a significant period of time where we did leave the gate open because we have to staff it. And so we did have a staff member located there, and we did leave it open for an extended period of time all week to give people the opportunity, because we couldn't do it all as quickly as we needed to. And so I don't know if maybe that's the point of time that you were told that, but it's only open on Saturdays.
No, we were gone when the tornado hit.
Okay.
There were 4 separate times, and every time we were told,
Just go in the gate.
you can go there, and it's no problem. It's like 2 miles for us to go there. The gate's not open, so I just throw it over the fence.
And the next time we go, it's gone. They take it. But it says do not do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is,
Well, I'm sorry for the
we're told that
miscommunication.
that's how it works, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I apologize for miscommunication. It's frustrating.
So I just had a quick question. Listening to these two gentlemen speak about, the arms, and then you have your driveway issue. I'm just curious I'm very curious about the arms of this trash truck, which I've seen those before, but I've never been involved in. You know what I'm talking about? So where it's automatic, right? So would they be able to get to a situation like this where he has to leave his can in his yard, as opposed to being able to roll it out to the road? Or is that something where they would still have to pick up the can and wheel it out?
Yeah, so it has to be within a certain distance of the edge of pavement. And that is something that we are currently evaluating because of the areas of overhead electric as well. I would anticipate some education would be needed for staff to visit with property owners that have questions about where their can could be placed for collection, things like that. We would definitely be open to providing that service, because there are areas where it's very difficult to figure out exactly where to put your can. So that would be something we would need to work through.
Am I on? Mr. Mayor, thank you for having this town meeting, first of all. But if people in here are familiar with Nextdoor on Facebook, a lot of questions are asked on Nextdoor. And I know the answer, and I'll give it to them. And education is the number one. It's about 3 or 4 pages y'all send out every year. Each department covers trash, limb pickup, yard waste. It tells you what to do. All you got to do is read it. The problem is they don't read it. And I tell them or it's answered in above questions they ask, and somebody answer. They don't read. So the answer is read what the information you receive. And it tells you plain what to do over at the landfill here on Free Hill Road. Tells you. I've been over there several times. Number one, about 3 or 4 years ago, I took a whole truckload of leaves over there to get rid of them in plastic bags. And he tells me, no, we can't do that. He gives me a knife or a box cutter. He says, you can dump them right out there on that pile of leaves. You take the plastic bags home with you. And if you put them in paper bags and bring them, you just throw them in the pile. Said, we mulch all of that together. But education is the key, but you got to read it. And they do a good job. I've had several missed pickups, and I'll call, or if I got leaves ready, got 10 bags, I'll call. And now they said, well, you don't even have to call. I set it under a pine tree out near my mailbox. And the other day I looked and it's gone. So I know they had been by.
So we've been here now, purchased those paper bags, and we read everything they said, and so we did it exactly the way they said, and they never ever come pick it up.
Anybody else with questions?
Why don't we do this, because Jason wanted to.
Okay.
Just very quickly on the recycling part, is there any way that maybe you can do a selective recycling that makes it more profitable for you, that you don't have the challenges and the issues that you're talking about? I know, again, having the exposure that I did previously, that's what we ended up having to do in order to make it profitable. And if it's a private business, I think that you'd want to do that as soon as you could.
So that's a great question. Selective recycling. So here's the thing. That's what we do today. We essentially offer a service to people that want to pay for it. So it doesn't go through the city. There's no billing through the city. There's no collecting of money. We know that people, not everybody's going to recycle. I respect that. I mean, we're offering a service, and if people want to recycle, they can pay for it. We don't even have contracts. So, we've had some customers for 13 years. We've had some customers, they have it for a couple of months, they move away, they cancel. That's the way it is. But we currently do that. I did also want to say one other thing. I have to commend the City of Hendersonville for holding this meeting. Okay, I mean, this is really awesome that you all are here, that you all attended this. I thought there'd be 4 or 5 or 6 people. We've got almost a full house here. This is really, really great. I think about this all the time. I love Hendersonville. I love Sumner County. There are 3 cities on the lake that I think about that are so very different, okay? Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Gallatin. 3 cities, same lake, every one of them does it differently, okay? Hendersonville hires out their trash service and doesn't have the city recycling. Gallatin does their own trash service, and they have drop-off facilities. Mount Juliet has no garbage service and no recycling collection. Everybody has to hire somebody privately. Same lake, 3 completely different approaches. So Hendersonville is really working hard to provide this service, as well as the waste company that's been selected. So.
Again, thank you for having this. It's very helpful. I just have a comment. Right now with backdoor service, the handicap and the elderly who have no one to get their trash to the curb are being serviced. If we go to curbside only, what happens to their trash? How are they going to have help?
Typically, there is a medical waiver that could be provided to still receive backdoor service.
Sorry.
I just have one question for the gentleman that recycles. First of all, what is the products that are recyclable that you can make a profit on?
Nothing. We pay $75 a ton, no matter what. Our average monthly bill is $4,000 to bring the recycling from Hendersonville to the recycling facility.
Okay. When it goes to the recycling center, where does it go from there? We said China doesn't accept it, so do you know where it goes after that?
Yes. So what happens is it goes through a process of conveyor belts. They sort out the cardboard and the paper, which actually has the highest value. Cardboard and paper is a material that facility makes the money on, so they bale it right away. Then they sort out the plastics and the metals. They use magnets to pull out all of the metals that obviously are not aluminum, and then they'll sort those and they bale that. That typically will go to Alcoa in Tennessee. And then you have the plastics, and that is the part where they optically sort PET and HDPE, which is number 1 and number 2. That will all get recycled somewhere. I can't tell you exactly where. It's either in the US, it could be in Canada or Mexico. The remainder of the material it probably does not get recycled. That's the component where 85 to 90% of the material is recycled, and there's a portion that's not. So.
Okay, I think one thing that we're missing, probably everybody in this room's missing, is the manufacturers are our problem.
That's correct.
And I remember when I was a kid, Coke bottles came in a wooden case. You put them back in the case, it went back, and they redid them. And that's where we have to get. But I think the horses got so far out of the barn, we're in trouble. And Mayor, you said it. There is very limited places to get rid of refuse, debris, stuff that goes in the garbage truck.
Yeah, it is a production issue, and ultimately it's the producers and the providers of the materials, and you will see certain vendors and certain companies where they're selling things in cardboard containers. You know, even McDonald's, I don't know if you remember years ago, your burger came in a clamshell that was styrofoam, and they were like, oh my goodness, we're 10 million styrofoam boxes a day going into the landfill, so now it's 100% cardboard.
Right.
So.
And if I could speak to you after this meeting's done.
Sure, I'll be here.
Right, thank you.
Let me see, there were other people, and since you've already asked a question. Who else had their hand? Okay.
One of the first things you said when you were talking about the costs was it's going to be X amount of money per home. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the cost for pickup is really when we go for bids for that, it's a cost per home per month to pick up the cans.
Okay, so where I'm going, I can tell you a way you could save money. If you have a parcel of land that has a home on it and it's zoned for just one house, when they try to get a variance on the zoning, don't approve zoning for 5 houses, and then you will keep your costs down on your garbage.
Oh, you're exactly right.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
that's one way you. I'm not presenting you with a problem. I'm
Yeah.
presenting you with a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not happy with the once a week garbage because some people just leave the garbage piled out in front of their house like it's Christmas time, and I'm sure it's very hard for the garbage collectors to pick that stop up because they have the stuff just thrown out there and it gets spread all over the whole street. The solution I have is, you were talking about before, is she had said it, in your contract, have a company that has the ability to pick up cans mechanically where they don't even have to get out of the truck. And maybe as a way to get people to go along with that is maybe for every household that will agree to that, maybe give them a little bit of a discount on their garbage pickup. Now, if someone needs, I'm not saying that people have special situations, they need to be attended to also, maybe like you were saying with the medical waiver, or if they can't get their can out there, there's got to be some exceptions made. But if you give a discount, then you're not forcing the person to do it, but you're giving them an option, and then the people that are not putting anything in the cans, they're just dumping it, they need to send somebody out there to talk to them and say, hey, listen, you can't put the garbage out there like that. The recycling, I think it's good the way it is. If someone wants to do it, they can pay. If somebody doesn't want to do it, I don't think they should have to do it. If you try to force them, they're not going to do it properly, and it's all going to be product that you can't recycle. You can't. I don't think you could shove it down their throat. So I understand your cause, but it has to be something that's voluntary. Of course, if they're voluntarily paying you money to take it away, they're gonna sort it or do whatever they have to do to make it be good garbage that you can recycle. Thank you.
Is there someone else? Had their hand up back here.
So we've been here an hour. Yeah. Yeah, so we've been
just
here.
so everybody hears, he said the thing with the arm, everything has to be in the can.
So we've been here an hour. We're going to stick around. We're not going anywhere, but if y'all want to leave, that's fine. I really thought that we'd keep it about an hour. This will be, Casey, this will be online?
Yes, we will try to get this online later this week, as well as the survey. We'll try to publish those at the same time so that folks who couldn't be here tonight can watch tonight, get the information, and then fill out the survey. And as we've all talked about education, all I can keep saying is we do have things out there, resources. Our website is full of great information. We update it and try to keep it regularly. We have a daily trash update page that staff updates and lets you know. So please go check that out. Tell your friends, help get word out, because that's where we're struggling right now, is to make sure everyone knows that we have these resources that you can go and get information.
And I'd much rather hear your opinions about trash before we make changes than after. So please give us your opinions now. And you're obviously you're welcome to say we screwed up later on. I get that. That we'd like something to be addition later on. But we need your opinions now. We need your input now, because we've got 13 members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and we're going to be making some serious decisions in the next couple months. So please give us your thoughts. So thank you all. We're going to stick around. So thank you all for being here.
And if you want one of these to fill out, let me know.